to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody against? Passes unanimously. Next, order of business is the progress report from the Blue Ridge Mountain Volunteer Fire Company, and that would be Bob Foss.
All right, I'm unmuted. Sorry about that. Since the past meeting, staffing has been returned to Blue Ridge Mountain on a full-time basis. They're both riding fire apparatus as well as serving the 24-hour shifts on the hill. I think after this meeting, and I've talked to Debbie about it, after this, I think we're safe to remove Blue Ridge from the, follow-up reports at this point in time.
Well, a question I would have regarding that is there's one item that they still haven't fulfilled, which is the bunking at their own facility. Is there a target date for completion and a mechanism to monitor?
There is not that I'm aware of. Sorry if somebody else was speaking on that.
All right, so then I don't want to take it off the agenda items until we have a proposed date for the completion and a method by which that can be monitored.
Gotcha.
All right, any,
I can report on Friday, a week ago, I was up there in person and met with the fire chief for about 2 hours.
Mhm.
And construction has not started. They cleaned some area off, but construction on the site has not started.
okay.
So I'm not sure how the plans are moving forward. So.
All right, so I would suggest that it remain on the agenda until that item is completed.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, any other comments on the progress report? Thank you, Bob. Next up is the treasurer's report. Craig Simpson, assisted by Director Alan Kaiser.
Okay, the financial summary, FY 21, July 2020 through June 2021. This is through the month of April. Income for the general fund, $2,622,847. The ambulance fee, $936,973 for a total of $3.6 million. The bank account balances as of April 30th. General fund, $1,011,940. Payroll, $1,634. Ambulance fee, $679,208. And the mortgage, $124,983. Remember, the annual cost of the mortgage is $81,000, which is not included. Looking at year-to-date, what has been spent, out of the $3.6 million, we're at $2,876,268. That's 78% of the budget. And you'll see the year-to-date spending rule at the bottom. Again, that shows how much we spent, and we're at 78, which correlates directly to those numbers. We're running under at about $95,000 this year so far. On looking at the labor wheel, we're at 3% of regular overtime, and that's our target goal. We'd like to be 3% or below. We had some personal leave, which accounted for 4%, some medical leave, which accounted for 2%, and bereavement leave, which accounted for 1%. So those accumulated hours move forward, and the 100% backfilling that we do for the personnel, we're at 3% on overtime. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda would normally be the chairman's report, and since there's none, next up is, oh, that's right, I'm sorry. Any discussion on the treasurer's report? Any questions? Get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. And we're on to the association report with Chief Morgan.
Okay, couple of things, at the last meeting, follow up on a couple more OGs that we hope to take action this next coming meeting. Another thing we are doing, we're in the process of reestablishing the standards committee. They probably use some new folks, but, hope to have that done within the next month or two, not just to continue on what we did for Company 5, just make it fair across the board for each of the other stations within the county. Probably that all take place by from between now and the end of the year, but we did. There will be a standards committee again to do the rest of the companies. And then the last thing we did, and I have a letter I'll read to you. The Jefferson, just dated on 5/18/2021. The Jefferson County Fire and Rescue Association affirms in our regular scheduled monthly meeting that we do not support the consolidation of staffing that eliminates JCESA staffing in Bakerton and Middleway. In consideration that the MOU between the JCESA and all 7 fire companies signed on March 15, 2016 by Chairman Kelly of the JCESA and all chiefs has not been amended or expired. It states under section 1, overreaching goal that Jefferson County is committed to operating a combination volunteer and career fire and emergency medical service system to service the needs of the public in a cost-effective manner. Primary emphasis will be to preserve and to perpetuate the continuation of a predominantly volunteer system and to supplement the staffing needs of all volunteer fire companies as required. The MOU further includes under section 3, approach that the JCSA and the volunteer will work together to formulate a plan to improve emergency response times. It provides that the ESA will provide staffing to the station with advice and consultation from the volunteers. Section 7, cooperation, sets forth the relationship between the JCSA and the departments shall reflect an attitude of cooperation toward achievement and effective and efficient emergency service for Jefferson County citizens, visitors, and workers. In contradiction to the memorandum of understanding, the decision to remove staffing from Bakerton and Middleway took the leadership of both companies by surprise, and there was no communication and collaboration between the JCSA and the chiefs to discuss these changes prior to the decision being voted on and passed at the April JCESA meeting. In the spirit of partnership, regardless of if such changes being directed by the county commission, all entities should have been brought together to determine a possible solution and partnership. Additionally, the removal of staffing will greatly increase the response times to Jefferson County citizens, visitors, and workers in an emergency. The increase in response time has been documented to increase from approximately 6 minutes from time of dispatch to 12 minutes in one of the hot zones as described by the JCSA, and from 7 minutes to 16 in another, provided that the neighboring company, Independent Fire Company, which is the business in the county, is not on a call. If they are not available for response, the response time greatly increases to closer to 30 minutes or greater in some cases. The JCFRA found that these changes directly increase response times to the affected areas of the county well beyond the acceptable levels and can therefore not support changes. The JCFRA asked that the JCESA board repeal the vote to remove the staffing from Bakerton and Middleway. The JCFRA asked that the JCESA abide by the MOU and embrace a collaborative approach with the ESA director, the ESA staff, and volunteers to establish a possible solution that would not endanger the Jefferson County citizens, visitors, and workers. And that's on behalf of the member companies of the Fire Rescue Association, this last meeting, the unanimous vote of the quorum that was present.
Okay.
And that's the end of the votes.
That's it, concludes your report, okay. I have, a question. Who is Chairman Kelly?
He was the, Pete Kelly was the past chairman and that was in your position back in 2016
Okay.
and prior.
Okay. Then for the record, I'm just gonna say that the vote that was taken at the last meeting, and this is my opinion, and we can either have a corroboration from Nathan or not, is that the vote that we took last time, even if we repealed it, that was not an authoritative vote because it's the operations that decides on the allocation. That is not the function of this board, is to decide how employees are deployed or allocated. That is the operations. Now, this board can hire or fire the management of in operations, but this board, that was simply a tacit approval, and it really didn't carry any authoritative weight, especially since the report was requested by the county commission. So I'm just going to go on the record as saying that I didn't take the vote, and then at the very end, it was suggested that we have the vote, and so I took the vote, but it wasn't necessary, and we could, even if we repealed the vote, it doesn't carry any weight of authority with regard to that, so it needs to be pursued through different channels, actually. So and I'll rest my opinion on it. Yeah.
And for the record, we would like to just, since the board doesn't have to vote on it or whatnot,
Yeah.
pass that on to the leadership, I guess, with the director and the other parties involved.
Right.
That made that decision then.
Right,
We'll ask
Exactly.
them for them to repeal that, to change that decision.
right. Because this board is an oversight board,
Right.
and what we're supposed to do is, we only meet once a month. Operations is here every day.
Right.
And so that's what they do, they operate. And so this board is just supposed to evaluate how the management is performing, and if they're doing a bad job, to recommend their removal. And, but ultimately, the power and authority goes to the county commission, so. All right, any other comments, or questions to Chief Morgan regarding his report? Okay, I have one last question. Is there a scheduled, joint meeting between the association and the ESA? Is there another one
With
coming
the
up?
county commission, you mean?
Yeah, because that meeting that we had, it seemed to be, well, a good start,
Right.
you know?
There's not one scheduled, but it will be hopefully within the next 4 to 5 weeks, yeah.
Okay. Very good. All right, thank you.
Chairman, can I, real quick,
Sure, sure.
does anyone else on the board have any suggestions or comments on the Fire Rescue Association's request? Any comments?
I'd like to comment. I mean, I understand what the chairman's saying, that we didn't have any say or it didn't hold no weight, but you know, like I would definitely for myself repeal what I didn't realize it was taken away from the citizens of Bakerton or Middle West when I voted that night. So for the record, I mean, I guess it would go back to operations like you asked, but I mean, if we voted on that, I mean, can we get a motion on the floor to maybe just repeal that and then send it back over to the operations side? I mean, I'm willing to make the motion if we got a second that we repeal that vote and then send it back to operations to review again.
Anybody want a second?
I really don't think that that's on the agenda. So I would question
Okay.
moving for that tonight. If you want to bring it back at a different night after placing it on the agenda, that would, be up to you.
Right, well, again, I'm on the record saying that the vote should never even have been taken, but noted that board member Stillwell would not vote for it. Okay, if it were taken again. All right, so any other comments? All right, so that concludes the association report. Next up is the director's report, Director Kaiser.
Okay, for the month, April 22nd through the 24th, the ESA hiring orientation processing team conducted more interviews and 4 offer letters were sent out on May 10th, 2021 for employment. May 17th through the 20th, which is occurring now, 4 new part-time ESA employees will have begun their orientation class. For this entire week, they'll be here, training and going over the orientation part of becoming a new employee here for the ESA. A reminder that life-saving and unit citation award ceremony will be held here Thursday, May 27th, beginning at 8:30 a.m. and concluding around 12:30 to 1 p.m. In the afternoon. All invited to attend. 52 first responders, 6 civilians will be recognized and receive awards. Again, these are for life-saving and unit citation. So unit citation encompasses quite a few people who arrived on the scene. Director's position was posted internally on May 5th and externally on May 10th. That's out and closed. And JCS office will be closed on May 31st in honor of Memorial Day. And that's it.
Okay, for the record, the ceremony is going to take place here at Station 11?
Yes,
Okay.
in the apparatus bay.
Very good.
Open, ventilated, and distance between each other, social distancing.
Any questions or discussion regarding the director's report? Okay. Next up on the agenda is board member requests. May 3rd, County Commissioners, JCFRA, and ESA had a meeting to discuss future funding plans. And we have a request from Board Member Harris.
First, I'd like to say, I'm sure several of you last night will met fire in Shenandoah. And I'd just like to say to all of you and to your companies, thank you very much for what you all did last night. And I think that one of the things that was proved last night with all the sirens that I heard is that how you all take care of each other and respond to the needs of our community. It was do an incredible job, and I, as one, surely appreciate everything that you all do. I want to follow up on a little bit on that meeting. I took 2 things away from that meeting. Is one was that there's a drastic need for some supplemental financing to help the volunteer product. And the second part of it was that you have a hard time recruiting and maintaining people into your fire system. I went, after attending that meeting, I contacted a few folks that I know that have been involved in volunteer fire organizations in Maryland and Virginia, and asking for any ideas that they may have. I know there's a program, which probably a lot of you or some of you are familiar with, the LoSAP program. And what I took away from there was nothing that was hard, fast, set for any one fire, for all fire departments, but for a variety of different fire departments, different plans that they had, and even plans that the county would have in place. Some of those things that curtailed or entailed, retirement after 25 or 30 years of active service. A good friend of mine, he receives a monthly retirement check. He's got better than 30 years there. He receives a retirement check of $630 a month. And has been a volunteer for a number of years. I would strongly support anything that you all in your endeavors and any way of trying to put together a plan like that. I'd certainly be welcome the opportunity to work with you and give you any ideas that any of you may you have that and work with you on all of them. Some of the guys from the companies down there had sent me some documentation on things that they do, life insurance, they get $5,000 a year tax-free from our tax deduction for state income tax. So there's a lot of plans and things out there to hopefully help attract and retain some of the younger folks. One of the things I did take away is that the fire department is, experiencing some problems, like a lot of like law enforcement is. It's a hard time right now recruiting people. There's a generation of folks out there that aren't as dedicated, so it seems like our generation is, and they don't want to put that time into it. And I'm not sure how we get around that. But I want you all to know that I surely and truly appreciate everything that every one of you all do, putting your lives on the lines, for all of us, and you don't even get compensated for it. So, I just want you to know that if there's something I can do to help, I'm willing to be there and assist you all in any program. Because I'll tell you right now, this county couldn't even come close to putting together a paid county fire department and doing what you all do. So, I just want you to know you're appreciated, and I certainly will work my tail off to try to help you all in there. Thank you.
I'll second that emotion. All right, next up on the board member requests agenda item is a selection committee update. The committee for the vetting of the director's position, and that is Treasurer Simpson.
Okay. First of all, we've got a pretty big schedule put out here, so I'll be talking with everybody and during the report, bringing up a couple suggestions. Josh, would you like to address?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to remove myself off of the committee due to personal reasons and time constraints. But I'm placement for that committee.
Okay, so then is there somebody who wants to volunteer to be on the committee to replace board member Simpson? I mean, Stillwell. Who's currently on the committee? It's you?
Myself
and
Tricia.
You,
and Dr. Treese.
Dr. Chase. Do you need a fourth?
I mean, I think it would be,
Yeah. Anybody want to volunteer?
I can volunteer.
Okay. Anybody else? All right then. Can we get a motion to approve?
So move to approve Tony adding him to the selection committee.
Do I get a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just not sure that we really needed
Yeah.
to do that in a motion. I think you can just appoint a committee.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
just wanted to point that out.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you're right.
So anyway, to go on with my report, the posting closed on the 17th at 5 p.m. So this week, we'll be getting the resumes out to everyone so that we can review them. And then next week, we went to committee to work on getting some interviews conducted. And on the 8th of June, we would like to have a special meeting of the board to interview the finalists that the committee is bringing forward for the position. And then at the conclusion of that, the board as a whole would make a decision on the director. Also, anybody on the board that we're going to encourage them to submit questions that we can use during the final interviews.
Okay.
That way, everybody has some input, but of course, those questions have to be legal. We have to be very careful in vetting them to make sure that they're correct for and interview process.
For example, you wouldn't want to ask somebody about their medical history because that's unethical.
That's correct.
Mhm.
Could
So,
I add that the same questions should be asked to every candidate so that you can compare the answers between the candidates?
yeah, during the final interview, yes. I think we should come up with a list, and that list should be asked to each one of them.
Well, the methodology by which you do that that's the purview of the committee. So we don't need to actually discuss that here. The committee is charged with the vetting process, and then it'll come back with its results, and then we will proceed from there in terms of the vote.
So we would want to have a special interview panel
Mhm.
on June the 8th, which is a Tuesday, I believe.
Okay.
And then the entire board at that time would make a decision on
All right. So
who would,
you're proposing that we have a special meeting on June 8th. Can the board make it on that day? Everybody? Let's go take a roll call here. Bob Foss, would you be able to make it on that day?
I'm out of town. I fly out on the 3rd. I come back the 18th from Alaska and Phoenix, Arizona, so I will not be present.
Okay. Would you be able to participate via Zoom or WebEx?
Not likely in Alaska. I'll be camping and backpacking.
Okay. All right. Anybody else who can't make it?
I'm trying to check my schedule. For this. I will be able to join. I'm in town. So I'm
Okay.
good.
All right. So, is that, Bob, unless you see a compelling reason, for us not to have the meeting without you there? All right. So, we'll have a special board meeting on June 8th regarding the filling of the director's position. All right.
Could somebody send out an invite just so it goes on calendars?
Oh, yeah, we have to have due notice of any meeting, so that will go
Okay.
out, and,
Okay, thank
Secretary,
you.
Debbie Debbie Lancaster.
but based on this being interviews, this can't be an open meeting.
Nathan, any opinion on this? Are you there, Nathan?
Yeah, sorry, I
Hello?
have had a little bit of technical difficulty there.
Okay. This, special meeting is going to be an interview process. Is this meeting, is the entire meeting, would it be like a, special session? I mean, a closed session?
Yeah, well, are we talking here about just meeting to interview particular people
Yes,
for the positions?
yes.
Yeah. So,
Interview the finalist.
yeah.
Yes, because,
Yeah, I mean, typically at the county commission level, we do hold that in open meeting. Um, and so if there's a quorum present of the
right,
of the board, then
right.
typically we do hold that in open meetings. Now there are exceptions um, under the Open Meetings Act, and you can consider some hiring issues in executive session unless the person wants the person that you're discussing wants it to be an open meeting. But I think that the board would probably be well served to have the interviews in an open meeting, and then
Okay.
you're not asking them, personal health issues or anything like that. You're just interviewing them on their qualification.
Okay. Very good. Are you going to be in attendance that day?
I believe that I can.
Okay. All right. Anything further?
I may have forgot to mention that at the beginning that initially Bob Foss was on the committee and he stepped down
Hmm.
and that our chairman had replaced Bob with Tricia on the committee.
Okay,
So I just wanted to make that part of the report.
very good. Anything else? Any questions? Any further discussion? Okay, so then, next item of business is unfinished business, of which we have none. New business, of which we have none. Which then brings us to public comment, of which we have plenty. So I'll go in order of who's on the list and who would like to speak, limit of 5 minutes. And it's not a give or take interchange, it's an expression of an opinion. So in the public comment, and so first on the list is Jason Young.
Thank you all for allowing me to be here. Jason Young, all of you don't, I'm a captain of the state department, firefighter of Fairfax. But more than that, I county and my wife, and last year we became parents. I just wanted to tell you about being a recipient of the EMS service in this county. In February, my son nearly died. He choked on some food that he was eating. My wife was home alone. I was at work. He called 911 and he was saved because he had CPR training provided by Bakerton. And because the dispatcher, the call taker was excellent and gave great instructions. He was breathing again well before anybody arrived. Chief Smith from Shenandoah Junction was the first one to arrive, followed by ambulance 1 sometime later. So there is a timeline. I'm sure the call can be looked up and you can all look at the timeline, but it was over 10 minutes. We live less than 4 minutes from Bakerton Fire Station. So this happened after the time that JCESA staffing was there. That was part of our agreement that they had already left. That's when that staffing ends. Why I'm here is to suggest or to give you my opinion that every firehouse, whether it's busy or slow, could have a critical call. It could require someone to be there within a few minutes, not 10, not 16, not whenever. And we need to do something about that. As a citizen, I feel that needs to be improved. As fire rescue personnel, someone who does this for a living and does it as a volunteer, I think it needs to be improved. I'm not the only one who feels this way, and I'm sure you guys will hear more from other citizens who don't understand why the staffing is being pulled. I understand why they're being pulled. You want them to be safe. I understand that. You want them to be improved. I understand that. However, our job is to protect the citizens of this county. There are other things that can be done based on this call that happened that included my family. And I'm gonna bring those out. I wanna talk to everybody about it. And I want everybody to know my ideas, because I have many. I did include in my request to be here to be part of the meeting. Not just a just a commenter. So I would like to change to have a dialogue with all of you. It's not just a JCESA thing, and it's not just a volunteer thing. It's an improvement of the system as a whole. But removing personnel from stations is not going to improve the response time to the county. I pay taxes, everybody else pays taxes, we pay our ambulance fee. We should have our local ambulances staffed. So that's my comment to all of you. Again, I'd like to have a dialogue, I requested a dialogue, so anybody's welcome to contact me anytime. Debbie has my information, you can contact me, and I can give you everything that I have. So again, I appreciate you all being here. And I know you all are doing the best job that you know how to do, and I appreciate it. Everybody has faults and everybody has things we can improve on, so let's work together and do that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Young. Next on the list is Mike Mood.
Today I have the opportunity to view the video Tricia shared, and I'd like to start off and talk about the fact that we're not so worried about the building. Back when we first started, yeah, we were trying to make sure our unit was out, so we could pay for the building, pay for what we had going on. And we're constantly told it's about public safety, not about building. You're right, about public safety. And looking at what the plan is here, that is not taking the public safety into account. We're going to have greatly increased response time. And that is a bad idea. I'd definitely like to sit down and work with the leadership here to see if we can't come up with some sort of a plan to fix that. We've got some ideas. That I'd like to sit down and talk to you about, show you some numbers, show you what we can do to maybe work together, which is what we should be doing. Yeah, this plan came out. We had no idea it was coming, and that is absolutely not what we should be doing. So I'd like to look forward to getting with Bob and some point and talking about this and coming up with some ideas and possible solutions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moot. Next on the list is Marshall Demers.
Thank you, sir. My comment is also about the video. First, I applaud the ESA. I think it's an excellent tactic for public education. It's something that we've been behind the eight ball as a fire service organization for a lot of years. So good job. You know, well done, video, I think. I share Chief Mood's concern. The statement that was made in there regarding that we want staffing so that our ambulance can make money is hogwash, and shame on you, leadership of the ESA, for putting it in there. The three of you in this room that were responsible for that should be ashamed of that, to put that out in front of the community in that way. So I hope that that is not what you think of us, because if it is, it undermines years of work to build the partnership that we have. So that's what I think about that video. I think all in all, good job. Keep that type of public education moving. But at the same time, don't dare use the volunteers in that manner as a preemptive strike, because you knew the association was coming tonight to speak in opposition of your staffing plan. And that's all that was. That was a calculated political move that is a disgrace on this organization.
What was
Thank
this video? I don't think I've seen it or heard about it.
We can, after we finish the public comment, we can, you can find it on the ESA website, or what was,
I can look it up.
Dr. Treese copied on the email that went out? You were,
email.
you were copied on the email.
Okay, I'll have to take a look.
Okay. Last but certainly not least is Mr. Morgan.
Or I just marked that because I forgot. I had to talk anyway.
Oh, all right.
I'll let you take that.
Wow, you ran out of things to say?
Oh, no, I got
All right, so, I guess that's about it. Any board member comments?
The only comment I have is not related to anything we've talked about. I would hope that sometime between now and June 8th, hopefully, that the guidelines for who can and cannot come and how many people can be in this room will be changed based upon the new CDC guidelines and everything else we've heard. I think that the world, I think we need to take these meetings back to normal. I'm not exactly sure who makes those decisions, but I would hope that we would go back to a normal, open meeting for the agency.
Right, actually, there's a governor's executive order, which I think he has decided, the governor, I think it's decided, I think it's June 17th, that the order expires. That's what I've heard. Isn't that right?
What is West Virginia Day? What date is it?
The 20th.
That's
The
it.
20th. Okay, so it's the 20th. The 20th is when it expires, West Virginia Day. And that's when everything will go back to normal.
Thought something happened on Friday. Last Friday.
Well, I think he made the announcement, but
The mask. is what
Yeah.
yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
So, but I agree with you. Well, we're almost pretty much back to normal, almost. But I agree with you, just for the record. I usually do. All right, any other board member comments? All right, thank you, everybody, for attending and for the input into the meeting. And, can I get a motion to
Wait a
adjourn?
minute, can I ask Dr. Treese one question? What's the
Okay.
best way to communicate with you to schedule interviews?
Oh, just through my WVU email. So it's
Okay.
marnie.treese@wvumedicine.org.
Okay,
I have it if you don't.
all right.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. This meeting is hereby adjourned. 7:45.